Well, as I always say, Mondays are always the most boring day starting the week. However, I intend to keep your Mondays fun and exciting. So for today, we're going to be reviewing two different events from two different promotions. The first one is from MLW's much recent show back on October 4th with Slaughterhouse. It features, of course, Mads Kruger defending the MLW World Heavyweight title in a Chamber of Horrors match against four other competitors, which is going to be a challenge. And of course, we have the quarterfinals of the Opera Cup. But the real question is who will be going into, of course, the semifinals, which is going to be interesting to find out. And of course, we have the MLW Women's World Featherweight Championship on the line. Big Kaiju Shoko Nakajima defended against fellow Tokyo Pro Wrestling teammate Imawari, and it's going to be a very interesting match. And then we move on, of course, with more with New Japan. As you know, they've begun the road to King of Pro Wrestling before we head to Ryogoku. Once again, they're in Korakuen Hall, featuring many matches. However, of course, the main event features, of course, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Doki, as you know, lost the belt after being injured to El Desperado. But as you probably know right about now, it's no secret since he became a turncoat joining the House of Losers. The biggest fear the New Japan has is not seeing this belt in the hands of a bunch of merciless thugs who think they're better than everyone else. So we'll see how that will progress. And then, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got do Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the talking. Let's get down to business. So let's begin with MLW Slaughterhouse. Okay. MLW Slaughterhouse 2025. This happened this past Friday, in case anybody asked. And it was at the Thunder Studio Arena in Long Beach, California. Now, we opened up with the MLW World title in a Chamber of Horrors match. As you all know, the new champion, Mads Kruger, defended his belt against not one, not two, but 4 other challengers. So basically, it's more of a 5-way match, even though they never officially mentioned that. So, other than Matt Kruger, it's Matthew Justice, Brock Anderson, many of you know him as the son of Arn Anderson, C.W. Anderson, and then, of course, we have Chris Adonis, who many of you know him as Chris Masters from WWE back in the day. But, of course, you probably can tell this match features a lot of plunder, like tables, chairs, whatever will make you bleed out. And there's in the corner of the ring like some sort of electric chair. I highly doubt it was electric. Just make you guys clear what I was witnessing in case. Yeah, you can see it on YouTube if you can. I mean, that's where it is. But the match ended with, of course, C.W. Anderson ended up being on that chair and being electrocuted. And, of course, Matt Kruger retained the championship. So you probably can guess that's how it happened. Now, we did have the debut of Shotzi Blackheart's Graveyard Shift, which is like one of those talk shows that we've seen back in WWE in a day, possibly WCW, whatever. But anyway, her first guests are the current MLW Tag Team Champions Skyscraper, and of course, as you probably know, they have their unfinished business towards Matt Kruger for 2 obvious reasons. They attack Mr. Saint Laurent, and not to mention screwing Dijak for an opportunity to become the MLW World Champion, and that's things. So basically, things got out of hand. However, Shotzi, in fact, actually called out saying she needs a drink, and that's where Don Gato showed up and brought his brand of tequila to share. But of course, out of nowhere, Hikaru Shida, who has issues towards him after costing him, of course, the MLW World Middleweight Championship that he stole, but he was never champion, to lose it to Templario. However, he was intending to use the tequila on him. But of course, Don Gato was not an idiot. He knew exactly what Hikaru Shida was going to do. So what he did, he threw some tequila, used the brass knuckles, and knocked him out. Now, when things were getting interesting during the Graveyard Shift, the entire broadcast was interrupted by Priscilla Kelly. Many of you know her as Gigi Dolan back in the day when she was with NXT at the time. However, many of you, what you don't know, before going to WWE, she was the only female in the promotion, and now she's returning because she feels threatened that Shotzi Blackheart is wiping away what she has started. So basically, she's trying to reclaim what she believes is hers, and that's one of the things that she is trying to do. But of course, Shotzi Blackheart wasn't too concerned. I mean, Kelly thinks that she'll be eradicated for this. But from the way of Shotzi, she's not too concerned. But we'll see what happens. Now, our next 3 matches out of the 4 we have is the Opera Cup matches for 2024. We're in the quarterfinals. Our first match, we have the wrestlers from CML facing off each other. Star Jr. and Volador Jr. Yes, we have 2 juniors in this match. But it wasn't too sure where this was going to be. But Volador Jr. was able to walk away with the win when he applied some sort of a Hurricanrana, but spiked them completely, and that allowed him to go into the semifinals. In the next match, we have Bishop Dyer versus Satoshi Kojima. Many of you know Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin from WWE. Yes, he's now in MLW. And of course, Satoshi Kojima put every inch that he had on him, and he applied a lariat to take him out, and just like that, he's in the semifinals. The next match, we have Austin Aries versus Paul London. As you probably know, in the last show, these 2 guys confronted each other to try to prove who's going to advance. But also in the end, during the match, actor known as Stingray, better known as Paul Walter Hauser, was there. Many of you may not remember, recently there was a match that Paul Walter Hauser was involved with Paul London, which he lost. He tried to be a good friend to him, but Paul was not having it. He didn't want nothing to do. He feels like a guy like him should not be in wrestling. But of course, we've seen Paul Walter Hauser be along. But however, in this match, it was Austin Aries that walked away with the win. We applied the Brainbuster. So basically, he in fact advances into the next match. But the main event will tell who will be, in fact, of course, his opponent at the next show. Now, our next match, we have Matt Riddle taking on Alex Hammerstone. Now, of course, Hammerstone, as you know, he's becoming a bit unhinged because he wants to reclaim the MLW World Championship, which is something that, as you know, he was part of. But he tried to take the hurt on Matt Riddle no matter what. He even tried, but he almost gotten away with it when he crushed the referee. And apparently, Kruger, who is well aware that Hammerstone wants the title, came and attacked him. But at the same time, while that was happening, Skyscraper, Bishop Dyer, and Dominic Dijak showed up to handle business. But in the end, it was Matt Riddle that ended the match when he gave Hammerstone a low blow and then applied a schoolboy on him. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Matt Riddle actually won the match, but he pulled off a heel move. So basically, he's a bit pissed off knowing how things have changed without the belt and that sort of thing. So he started complaining. Now, our next match is our second of the 2 championship matches. We have the MLW World Women's Featherweight Championship. Big Kaiju Shoko Nakajima faces with another wrestler from the same promotion she's from, Tokyo Super Wrestling, Imawari. Pretty good match. I mean, Imawari, I have seen her grown a lot. You know, she has changed. I know she has potential, but unfortunately, she did not have that potential in this match as at all because Nakajima picked up the win with the senton, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, before we head to the main event, we did see Selena De La Renta along with her father, Cesar Durant, talking about, of course, plans. Of course, talking about Don Gato's tequila and all this other stuff. But however, Selena De La Renta noticed that the brass knuckles is missing. So they had reason to believe that Hikaru Kwan had something to do with it. But however, Caesar said, we witnessed security escort him out. So he's starting to think there's something new happening. So the real question is Contra Unit up to the old tricks, recruiting new members? That's a good question. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens from there. Now, our main event we have is the last of the quarterfinals of the Opera Cup tournament. We have Ultimo Guerrero versus the man, the myth, the legend, Mystico. Yeah, so this is one of those matches was going to be good. Now, these two men have faced each other countless times in the past, even the present. So the real question is who's going to walk out. You probably would think that one of them did, but Mystico was able to pick up the win when he applied La Mystica, and just like that, Ultimo Guerrero just tap out. Now, during the post-match, Mystico was doing a promo until he was viciously attacked by his opponent in the semifinals, and that is, of course, the very controversial Austin Aries. So, of course, Austin Aries is sending a message to him saying that he's not walking away as the winner of the Opera Cup tournament, so he's not going to let him. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure Mystico is not going to forget it one bit. So we'll stay tuned for more. So as of right now, we are done with MLW. Let's move on with our last and final review, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Alright, last review, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We return to Korakuen Hall as we continue with the road to King of Pro Wrestling. And this is their much recent event that took place. So this is day 2. We open up with Katsuya Matsumoto and Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Yado and El Fantasmo. Now, I'm not sure if this is one of those matches where Fantasmo will face Tanahashi in a singles match before we retire. But anyway, the match was pretty good. Now, many people would have assumed in this match, because Tanahashi was teamed up with a Young Lion, most likely that the Young Lion would have taken the fall. But however, that wasn't the case, because Tanahashi was able to pick up the victory when he applied a high five flow onto Yado, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, we got the House of Losers, of course, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sanada taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs, Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors. Now, of course, many of you know this. Drilla Maloney has been looking for some payback against Sanada ever since his betrayal, turning on the War Dogs, siding, of course, with the House of Losers. And of course, Sanada would do whatever it takes to either avoid him or try to pick up the win. He even low-blowed him, but it didn't work. However, Sanada ran away like the coward that he was and ran in the match, ended in a count out after 4 minutes and 20 seconds. However, of course, Maloney said that he wants him at Ryogoku. So you can tell he's trying to tell him, no matter what you do, I will come for you. So he's trying to end him. So we'll see what happens when that day happens. Now, speaking of the House of Losers, we got the other guys. We have Dick Togo, Don Fale, Sho. But of course, Sho decided to grab the mic and call Evil the real never openweight champion. Bullshit. No, Sho's just a moron, just to let you guys know. And they're facing against Tiger Mask, Kuka, Toriano, and Kukai, Toriano, and Boltin Oleg. Now, this is a preliminary match between Evil and Boltin Oleg. Now, as you all know, when Boltin Oleg successfully defeated Don Fale to retain the Never Openweight Championship, well, Evil, as you know, being bitter, being the little bitch that he is, unable to get what he wants, he decided to reclaim a title that he tried to control, and that is the Never Openweight title. So that was pretty much what's been happening right there. But once again, the usual tactics with House of Losers continue. They were able to knock out Tiger Mask and put him in a sharpshooter, and just like that, it was over. And of course, Evil is trying to tell Boltin Oleg that no matter what, the belt is coming home to him, which of course is the last thing that the New Japan fan base want, and including of course certain people within the higher ups of New Japan. Now, our next match, we have Titan, Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Yoda taking on the members of the Bullet Club War Dogs, Geto, Taiji Shimori, Finley, and Gabe Kidd. Now remember, there are some preliminary match in this one featuring Yota Tsuji and Gabe Kidd, and this is for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Now remember, Tsuji was the champion before Gabe Kidd, who defeated him, and now he wants it back. So you can tell that this match was going to be a bit of that, but it was of course Hiromu that picked up the win when he applied a knee strike onto Geto, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But it was also a direct message for Hiromu to, of course, Eita. As you all know, Hiromu is the current GHC Junior Heavyweight title, a belt that is not even part of New Japan, it's part of Noah. And of course, Walker saying that, New Japan fan base are probably not pleased with the idea of having this thing, but it is what it is. Now, our next match. Now, these two matches are a bit of preliminary matches involving for the upcoming IWGP Tag Team belts. As you know, Oscar and Yoda Ice, or the newer members of the Bullet Club War Dogs, now dubbing themselves as the Knockout Brothers, coming back from excursion in the UK and in Europe, now came back and sided with the War Dogs. And of course, Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura has issued themselves as the next challengers after defeating, of course, Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, to do so, each member will be in a singles match. Shota Umino begins taking on Oscar Lobe. Now, Oscar Lobe is a big dude. He's taller than him. But the real question is, can Shota Umino do it? I mean, he took a lot of beating from Oscar Lobe, despite of his height. Now, you probably would think that he will not pull off the Death Rider or anything or whatever, but it did not. He was able to apply a brainbuster instead. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Umino picked up the win. So that's 1 for, of course, Umino and Uemura, and that's 0 for the Knockout Brothers. Now, speaking of that, we have, of course, Yuya Uemura and Yuto Ice in synchronization. But of course, Yuto Ice, he had that look of like saying, "I'm gonna effing kill you, bitch." He had that look like he wants to prove the point that no matter what, no one's gonna beat them, and that's exactly. He tried to take out Uemura's head off when he blasted his head through a table. And of course, Yuta Ice is very happy about it, but Yuya Uemura was not going to let this happen no matter what. But of course, nothing from his arsenal was going to be able to pull it. I mean, there was a moment where Yuta Ice spit at Uemura, telling him, "F you," and he was about to do the deadbolt, but somehow he kicked out of it. But luckily luckily something he used another method, of course, um, that kind of filled in better. It's more like a modified version of the hoverboard lock that, of course, Kushida uses all the time. So that became an effect for him, and of course, that makes, of course, Uemura and Umino 2 for 2, while Knockout Brothers 0. So that means they got the momentum before we head to King of Pro Wrestling. Now our main event is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and of course, Sho, being the a-hole that he is, decided to say the Doki is the real IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, while Despy is the actual champion. And of course, when it comes to the House of Losers, Sho was right there to ensure that this match goes in his favor. But thank God that Yukai was there to help out El Desperado, because that's exactly what the House of Losers are all about. They want to cheat their way through to say they're tough. Bullshit! So basically, that was the whole thing. But of course, somehow, Doki was able to put El Desperado in a Doki Choki, and then, of course, Sho, being the scumbag that he is, used a plate on the head and whacked Desperado unconsciously until the ref came to, and then, of course, match was over. And of course, Sho and Doki act like they're the co-junior heavyweight champion. But sooner or later, they have to lose the junior heavyweight tag team belts. But the real question is, who's going to be doing that? I mean, that's a very good question that I think many of us are saying. Some people are indicating, of course, that it's going to be Kukai and El Desperado. That's something we will wait and see. But the real question is, who's going to be the one to dethrone Doki? I'm going to presume that probably Doki may retain the belt until possibly Wrestle Kingdom in January 4th of 2026. That's my prediction right there. He might lose it then. But we'll see. But as of right now, we're done with our reviews and move on to our last and final thing, of course, and that is news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with the upcoming events. We have updates from GCW on that front. As you know, GCW will be in Atlantic City for a 2-night event for Fight Club. Now, for night 1, they announced that's going to take place on October 11th. We have Tony Deppen versus Teriyaki, so that's going to be one match. And as you know, another event has been announced, a brand new show. They are debuting for the first time in Wichita, Kansas. So if anybody from that area, better mark your calendars, and this will take place on January 18th of 2026. So mark your calendars on that, GCW fans. Now, speaking of GCW, as you know, their sister promotion, Jersey Championship Wrestling, or JCW, will announce for the 2 upcoming events. The first one is Possession, that will take place on the 26th of October. As you know, there is this Luna invitational event. The first match that's been announced is a 4-way. We have Billy Starks versus Maya World versus Jada Stone versus Kenzie Page. And then, of course, a month later, they'll be making their way for the home for the holidays. They'll take place on the 23rd of November. They announced 2 matches. 2 people will be participating. Valentina Rossi, who will be making her official JCW debut, and of course, Gringo Loco makes his return. Now, DPW has announced for their upcoming event, Super Battle, that takes place on the 19th of October. We have a women's tag team match. Danny Luna will be teaming up with Emerson Jane. They take on Lena Cross and Hyan. And then finally, as you know, I did mention last time, the Good Brothers will be participating in the promotion with Tijuana, Mexico, which is right across from San Diego. They announced Cibernetico will be there. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a very famous wrestler. He's kind of like the Stone Cold Steve Austin of Mexico at the time. He's also part of AAA, I believe. But yes, so he'll be there on the 7th of November. So get your tickets if you're from the San Diego or just Southern California area. So get your tickets now. Now, on to some developments. It was later revealed that Hikaru Shida has re-signed with AEW. Now, I know some people are confused that you're questioning, we haven't seen her for quite some time. Well, As you probably know, Hikaru Shida has been having visa problems because, as you know, she is not native of Japan. She doesn't have a movie. She did not move to the U.S. like, of course, we've seen with Mina Shirakawa, that sort of thing. So basically, she is now re-signed, and recently she's been working on some stage projects over there in Japan. Many of you may know by the time this video is out, it's already been happening. It's been reported that Santos Escobar, his WWE contract will be expired by midnight. So by the time this video is out, he's probably already out. It's still unclear what's going to do. I know some people are going to say, is he going to WCW? I mean, AEW? I don't know. We don't know. It's still unclear. If somebody may question what promotions that he's ever been in Mexico, I know he's been in both part with CML and AAA. I don't know how much feathers he has, but if he does return with CMLO, there is the chance he could, because, as you probably know, his dad is the president of the Wrestling and Boxing Commission. So, I mean, he could pull some strings on that, but I don't know. That's an unknown question. Paul Walter Hauser, many of you know him in Cobra Kai as Stingray. Well, he just mentioned that he would like to do a multi-promotional mega show to counter WWE Saudi WrestleMania. As you all know, in 2027, WrestleMania will take place in Saudi Arabia. There's been talk about, try to take advantage of the situation with WWE doing their show over there, because that is their big show over there. And the real question is, who will step up? We know that Tony Khan has mentioned recently that they will love to do something on that day, since they'll be halfway around the world. And I mean, it could happen. We just don't know much. But the real question, who will be response? Now, speaking of Paul Walter Hauser, as you probably know, recently there's been talk about people mentioning about the ticket prices within WWE, and of course, Paul Walter Hauser had to call WWE on this whole thing of the pricing, and this is what he said. And this was on TMZ Inside the Ring. Times are tougher than we used to be. The prices are going up, and there's no real humanity from the corporation perspective. To me, that's like Mr. Potter, It's in a Wonderful Life. You're getting greedy, ugly, you being ugly for doing that. So yeah, that's what he has said. I mean, we know there's been talk about, of course, the prices of tickets in WWE. The prices have been going up, and some people are having a hard time with it, and I understand that. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I don't attend WWE events. I mean, I have worked them before, but I never actually attended. Some of you may have questioned me if I'm going to the Survivor Series, of course, when they're here in San Diego. No, I decided not to, despite the fact. But yeah, but I know my brother is going, so we'll see. Now, Laredo Kid has been online. It's been reported that he will be departing from TNA. I don't know if it had something to do, because, as you know, he's affiliated with AAA. I don't know if they're moving him away from that. I'm not sure. But this is what he had to say. Thank you for the everything to the great company and family. I appreciate your tremendous support. I hope to return to work in the future. We're on a new path. So yeah, it's still unclear, because we know that WWE has full control of AAA, and maybe they're recalling that. So it's still unclear on that front. Mickie James has mentioned recently about Lisa Marie Varon. Many of you know her as Tara when she was in TNA, and also known as Victoria in WWE, that she'll be inducting her in the TNA Wrestling Hall of Fame. So as you probably know, yeah, Mickie James is being inducted in this year's TNA Hall of Fame, and she had this to say, and she mentioned this on Wrestling News Co. I did have time to think about it. It's someone who was pretty synonymous with the whole introduction of hardcore country, and I think we made some incredible historic moments together, and that's my dear friend Lisa Marie Varon, known as in TNA as Tara, and of course Victoria in WWE. So yeah, so she feels like she owed her a lot, and I think it's a real nice thing for her to have her, induct her into the TNA Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if Victoria will be, but we'll see. Tanahashi talked about, of course, saying he has no regret about his career or not going to WWE, and this is what he said. I have no regrets. I was able to work hard in New Japan and other wrestlers firmly achieving their dreams. So yeah, some people may have said that he may hold some regrets. No, he has no regrets, guys. And some people would say, well, it's a shame he should have gone to WWE. I mean, yeah, I mean, to that it would have been a shame, but he has no regrets. I mean, his time is up for that. Now, we had a very interesting statement coming from the promotion in the Bay Area known as West Coast Pro, if you guys are big fans. Well, this is what they put out in the recent news. We're excited to announce that West Coast Pro will be beginning streaming for free on YouTube starting this Sunday, October 12th, to put that on something live from Oakland, California. We want to take the moment to thank High Spots and their entire staff giving us the opportunity to call High Spots Network home for the past year. Their support has meant a lot to us. As we launch this new chapter on YouTube, fans can look forward to live streaming, behind the scenes content, and more. In the near future, we also introduce a Patreon exclusive interview, special features, premium content of our supporters. Thank you for continuing support West Coast Pro Wrestling and being part what's for the next for the coast. So yeah, there have been some shows they done for free. They done on YouTube, and now they're returning to that. So I've always watched the shows there on YouTube, but now it seems like they're that. It explains why they haven't been doing any shows on live on YouTube, but now it makes sense. So hopefully you guys are happy about that, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we're done. Let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have NXT. We are now possibly heading to the Showdown, I believe. Yep, I think it is. Yep. So, can't wait to see the feud between both TNA and NXT. This is going to be really major. Also, on the good news, I did hear recently, many of you know this, that Stardom and New Japan did the historic crossover, but they did that in China. They are going to release the footage of that event really soon, so stay tuned for that. As for anything else, I haven't decided what I'm going to do, I'm going to review. I'm going to try to finish off with, of course, with more of the Yoshi promotions I have missed out. So we'll go from there. As you know, I put a Marvelous recently, and we'll go from there. But as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang!
Are you ready?